Welcome to Truth and Company Boxing Podcast for another segment of 20 Random Questions. And tonight we have a special guest for our 20 Random Questions. It's none other than four-time heavyweight champion of the world, the real deal, Evander Holyfield. Oh, and I just lost him. That quick. Apparently, I ran Mr. Holyfield off already. I'm sure there he is. He'll be right back. There he is.
Yeah.
How you doing, champ?
I'm good.
I appreciate you taking time to come on my podcast. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
So I know you ain't never been afraid of anything. So you afraid of these random 20 questions?
Well, no, I doubt it.
All right. So question one. Tell me about your background and your upbringing a little bit.
Well, I'm the youngest of nine in my family, and I had to listen. I had to follow direction, and those are the things that being a Christian, I was told you got to listen, follow direction, not quit.
And where did you grow up at exactly?
Well, I was born in Alabama, but I was raised in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, did you grow up like a tough street kid, or were you in a nice neighborhood, or?
Well, I wouldn't say a nice neighborhood, but we had parents that we had a church in the neighborhood, and this is the church that we went to, and anybody catch you saying bad words or doing something wrong, they can spank you.
Okay. Question two. So how did you get involved in the sport of boxing?
Well, I started going to the boys club at the age of 6 years old, and when I turned 8, and when I was 8 years old, I seen somebody hitting the speed bag, and I wanted to hit the speed bag. So I go up and said, "Mister, can I come in and hit the speed bag?" He said, "No." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Because you have to be able to box." Then I said, "Well, I want to be a boxer." And he told me no. And so the next day I asked him, he said no. And then the next day I asked him, he said no. On the third day, he said, well, you come in, let me teach you how to box. You got to hit the bag first. And so when I started hitting the bag, I knocked the skin off my knuckle. And he seen I kept hitting the bag even though my knuckle was bleeding. He said, "Your knuckle's bleeding." I said, "It's okay, like this." And he told me that I was tough. And he told me that you could be like Muhammad Ali. I said, "But I'm only 8." So he told me, he said, "You won't always be 8." And I believed it because next week I was gonna be 9. So he asked me, he said, "I really think that you could be just like Muhammad Ali." And I looked at him and he said, "What do you think about it?" I said, "Well, I got to ask my mama." Then he said, No. I want to know, do you believe this or not? I said, "But if I don't ask my mama, I can't even start." And I remember him telling me that I had a good mother. He said, "Well, go ask your mom." So I went home and asked my mother, and she said, 3 things to being successful is listen and follow direction and not quit it. Now, are you're not going to start nothing that you're not going to finish now. And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And I go, and the next week I had my first fight, and I boxed, and I hit the guy one time, and the guy started crying, and I got my first trophy. And But what was so important about that is that everybody who came to the house, when they see the trophy, they look at the trophy and say, "Miss Holyfield, who is the fighter?" And she would smile and she said, "Oh, that little one right there." They said, "Well, he left." My mama said, "But he's tough." So I realized that, oh my goodness, oh, she liked this. And so I stayed in boxing.
So then your mom ended up being your biggest fan.
Well, no, she. When I got older, she didn't like it, and she put up with it because this is the only thing that I did real well. And of course, I'm the youngest of 9 in the family, and I actually thought that we supposed to be just alike. And so my mama had this thing said, "Well, everybody could do something somebody can't do." But as a family, you use all these things together, and so I wasn't very knowledgeable in the books and all this because my mama didn't write or read and all this and stuff. But I was always wondering how in the world my other brothers and sisters they can read and I can't. Why I'm the only one can't? And my mom said, "But son, everybody gonna have something different that someone do a little bit better than others." And so I stuck to box, and then here I am.
Yeah, you definitely stuck to boxing. Did something nobody else ever did. All right, question 3. So what boxers inspired you in your career?
Well, the first boxer that they even brought up was Muhammad Ali. And at that time, being 8 years old, saying that you could be like him, but of course, like I told my coach that I have to ask my mom, and so when I told my mom, they say I could be like Muhammad Ali and all this and stuff, and so even my coach said, well, he said, now we want you to be a champion like Ali. Now we don't want all this bragging and all this because Ali was talking about he was the greatest. Of course I could. My mama wouldn't allow me to saying that I'm great and boasting about what I could be if you stay into the game of boxing. But everything that Ali did, I just you had to have humility about it. It wasn't about bragging. If I won like this, if someone came in the house and seen the trophy, and they realized, oh man, he got a lot of trophies. Because I was pretty much a good athlete.
Yeah, but you were definitely a humble champion.
Well, yeah, but it's all because of how I was brought up that way. And my mama said, just as if something's not right, you don't want nobody coming pointing you out, and you just don't do this when you better than somebody one either. So as that young kid, I had to follow the leaders, and I had a lot of brothers and sisters who, when things don't go right, it's kind of let you know that eventually you're going to run into some things you do well, and you're going to run into some things you don't do so well as well.
Okay. So question 4, did you have any boxing superstitions through your career?
Well, no, I didn't, because, cause my whole thing is, I had a strong mom who I talked to. She said, hey, you learn from other people's mistakes. You see what they did wrong, they bragging, talking about this. She said, you know what? What you want to do is not tell nobody and let them find out for themselves. Just so I'm never going to tell them I'm going to beat you up, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I ain't said nothing.
But I mean, go ahead.
She tell me just keep it to yourself. And say, look, hey, you worked hard, you did the very best that you could do. And like this, and just go out and apply.
So you never had any superstitions where you had to eat the same food before a fight, or put on the certain glove first, or wrap or shoe first, or wear the same boxers to fight, or nothing like that?
Well, not that. I would cross my fingers. Cross my fingers, hope to win, and like this.
And hope to win.
I'm like, but I did know the thing is training. Training was the most important thing. I trained real well, and so, but even though I trained real well, I would still pray, and I would cross my fingers for a while. I'll cross my legs, cross my arms, and all that. It's just all these things that you realize that you do, and and I kept winning. I kept winning. So the fact of the matter, I kept doing it. So it was hard to realize what not to do because you had so many superstitions. You came up that way, like
Okay.
that. Yeah.
All right, question 5. If you could have dinner with any 4 people in the world, dead or alive, celebrities, people in history, anybody, who would you want to have dinner with?
Well, Jesus. Jesus. My whole thing is that, it always been spiritual for me. Christ is more important, but other than that, with people, I'm like, my whole thing, my mom and my father, my whole thing, it was basic things that I realized that, you take interest, but the most important thing that God give us parents, and and everybody always they got mad with me because I talked about my mom all the time. I said, well, I didn't meet my dad until I was 21. I said, so when I met my dad at 21, I realized it wasn't my dad's fault; it was my mama's fault. But but these are the things that I did for my father once I realized that, because I was just thinking, well, it's things that men have done to women, it's things that women have done to the men, but when, you know, this is the reason why you have both parents, where you treat both of them nice, and your blessing come through how you treat your parents. And, anything that my mom would say, and I was the youngest of 9. My brothers and sisters, them, if they didn't do it, okay, they weren't gonna do it, but I was gonna make sure I'll do it like this. And I think that a lot of things came my way because I was obedient to my mom. I thought my mama was just it, and like this, and it worked for me.
Okay, so it'd be Jesus and your parents.
Yep.
All right. All right, question 6. What is the craziest or the funniest story that ever happened between you and a boxing fan?
Well, it's my own thing is that with me when it comes to people, when it comes down to boxing, I don't really, because I know they can throw you. I had a coach that said, you listen too much what they say, it throw you off your game plan. So the whole big thing is that, I ain't let myself get that close to them because people just got different ideas and stuff for what you should do and all this. And I just try to keep it basic. As my mama said, hey, look, the mistakes that I made, if you don't make those mistakes, you're gonna be better. Like this. And it worked. Just not making the ones that my mama wanted. My mom say, these are the ones that I make. You don't do these things, you're gonna be better.
But I
My
mean,
mom,
you never had no incidents where you had weird interactions with boxing fans or anything that you can remember?
no, not you know, Mr. Morgan, my first boxing coach. You know, Mr. Morgan was white. Mr. Morgan, my mama told him, said, now, I'm leaving my son in your hand. Now, anything happen to him, it better happen to you first. But so he will always have me. I'm just, then nothing ever happened to me as a kid. After Mr. Morgan made sure that things was right, and you know, Never had any problems. Never had a problem as a kid.
Okay. Question 7. If you could have a boxing match with any fighter in history, alive or dead, who would your ultimate fight be against?
Well, right, I think that I think the most important thing was it's the people in my era, because my mom already told me. She said, "Son, that's the reason you have history. You have people before you, you have people behind you. Now, this is the era you live in, so you just be thankful that the ones that are there." And I think that with Mike, at one point in time, Mike Tyson was the guy that 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 when everybody talk about boxing, they talk about Mike Tyson. So my only thing is that, and he was 4 years younger than me, and but I made the Olympic team. He did, but he was so popular that I even had family members telling me that, "Oh, we're gonna see what'll happen when you fight Mike Tyson." Now I say, now he's a real fighter. You know, I'm, you know, I'm just thinking about family members telling me that.
Oh my
I'm,
God! How
I'm,
do you
I'm,
tell? How do you tell a 4-time world champion that?
but they were saying that before I was 4 times. So I was an undisputed cruiserweight champion. Then when I say I was gonna move up to heavyweight division, and you ain't just have some of the family members get kind of okay. We'll see what's gonna happen when you fight Mike Tyson. And when I fought him, I beat him.
Well, we saw what happened.
Yeah.
He got beat up.
Yeah.
So you don't. I mean, if you had a chance to, let's say somebody like in the era before you, like Ali or something, you wouldn't want to go toe to toe with Ali.
Well, it's something that it just make believe. And I'm saying it's almost like if I was back in that day, I mean, you ain't gonna never be back in that day. I'm some sort of realistic thing is that this is where it is for now.
Okay.
I'm so I was always in to the point to something that could happen and not something that wasn't gonna happen.
But I mean, when you look at your resume, I mean, most boxers, you don't know who the first 20 guys are on their resume. You look at your resume, you can almost name almost every guy on there because you fought every household name in your era that was out there.
I sure did, and I'm like I was telling a few people, I was like, look, man, I said, do you not know on my first fight they had me fighting the Philadelphia state champion? I said, at that time, everybody from Philadelphia could fight. I said, and my first fight was him. I said, I wasn't a gold medal winner. I was a bronze medal winner. I said, why I had the hardest fight? I said, but I did. I said, I fought the guy, and I was able to beat him. I said, didn't knock him out, but because he was a good fighter. I said, we were the same age. I said, but the guy was such a good fighter.
Okay, so tell me something besides boxing that you're passionate about.
Well, but it's Jesus. Jesus is what, the most important thing is, what always been for me, because the fact is my mama made that the most important thing. And she said, don't do nothing that that hurt you and you're going to do it to somebody else. And so, so people always kind of, how in the world you get into boxing and they don't want you to hurt nobody? I said, because boxing is not really hurting nobody. It's competition. You both supposed to be good in boxing, and this is the reason why you're in there. And so after the match, you're not mad with the person and all this. And I said, even if you lose, my mom said, you can't get mad with the person. The person supposed to try to win. That's the whole big point of competition. You find somebody who can fight just like you can fight. They ain't finding nobody that don't know how to fight. They finding somebody who's the best too. I said, so I was able to come to the understanding that someone gonna win, someone gonna lose. And I'm hoping that it's gonna be me winning all the time. And I strive for that.
Okay. So question, where did I go now? Question 9. Who is the hardest puncher you've ever faced in the ring in a fight or sparring?
Well, George Foreman, Big George, definitely. After all the fighters, I'm like, I couldn't move him back at all. I'm telling you, he was slow, but he had tricky ways to how to make you come up where he can hit you. So he caught me with a few shots, and I realized that I remember the bell rung at one time, and so my boxing coach was telling me, "Come on, the bell don't rung, come on," like this. But my feeling ain't got in my legs yet. If I knew if I would have took a step, I probably would have fell down. But I held the ropes and like this, and he said, "Come on." Then all of a sudden, after about 2 or 3 seconds, then I can feel my feet. Then I walk. It's amazing that the things that happen to you that you can actually, if you ain't have if I didn't know that my leg was numb, I would have just fell down. I would have took one step and fell, but I didn't, because I realized I couldn't feel my leg. And I just held the rope and like this. Then in 2, 3 seconds, I started walking. I said, what happened? I said, I couldn't even feel my leg.
Okay, question 10. How has boxing affected your life in a positive manner and in a negative manner?
Well, in the positive, it kind of show people that, and starting something that starting at 8 years old, it's just like even starting anything at an early age, you can grow into it and become the very best. And I was able to become the very best. I said, yeah, negatively, people know your business. They know too much about you. Somehow they just, which allow people to be envy, and they probably weren't even trying to be envy with you, because somebody always run up to you, "Oh, do you know that's Holyfield?" And so I act, and I don't know all actors, but so I wouldn't want the actor to think that I don't care about them, because I just never, my whole thing, I don't look for their name to see what you are and all that. And so, so people tend to make people think if they don't know me, something's wrong with them. And I'm like, I know, I don't like every sport. I just, and it wouldn't mean that I don't think you're a good player or how good you are, because I don't know. I mean, it just sometimes it get, when I see people talk to them, "You don't know Holyfield? Something's wrong with you. When you been dead? How long you been dead?" I kind of say, I hate for people to get criticized because they don't know who I am.
I'm laughing because I've done that about you. That's why I'm laughing. I just did it today.
Yeah.
When I told somebody I was interviewing you, I had to explain who you were. And I was like, what is wrong with you? How do you not know who Holyfield is? You don't even need to know boxing to know who Holyfield is. Yeah. So, yeah, I get what you're talking about, though. All right, question 11. Have you ever had to save someone's life?
What, other than swimming, I was a lifeguard. Because that's what I jump in the pool and blow that whistle and jump in there and rescue somebody. But it wasn't bad. It's not like they were drowned and they had to go mouth to mouth and all that. They were, they got too far from the line, and you know how you put your feet and think of it, and you start going up, and so I had to pull them out.
Okay. Question 12. What's the number one problem in the sport of boxing right now, in your opinion?
Well, I think when it comes down to amateur boxing, we are not doing it the way that we used to. At one point in time in 1984, we had 9 gold medals, 1 silver, 1 bronze, and then in 1988 we got 4 gold medals. It was getting better and better because it was on TV. Because boxing is not on on regular TV anymore. You don't have kids want to get into boxing. Now I got in boxing because Leon Spinks and Michael Spinks, because they from the ghetto and they won a gold medal. And I said, oh, me that you can get on TV boxing? And this was in 1976. And I made the 84 team. So the thing is more that people can see boxing on just regular TV. And it comes because when you start at a young age, it make you a lot better. And that's the reason why we had so many good fighters in the 80s, in the 90s, because everything started from 76 when Leon Spinks there was fighting Sugar Ray Leonard and all that. Then of course in 84, when you get 9 gold medals, we had the greatest team ever in boxing at this point in time. America had 9 gold medals, 1 silver, 1 bronze.
Okay. Question 13. Who's the one fighter that you never got to fight in your era that you wanted to fight?
I don't think it's. I think everybody was champion. I got an opportunity to fight.
That's true.
Ain't nobody that I'm calling out. Hey, because anybody who probably that people thought that could beat me, they would have put me in there with them, because I don't think I was a well-liked person, but they know that he can fight. If anybody they felt that who can whoop me, I just kind of think that people, I was a good fighter, and I appreciate it, and I wouldn't fight anybody who got a belt. My whole thing is because it was all about belts with me. I wanted to be the very best, and you never gonna know how good you are until you fight the very best people.
So, okay, did David Tua's name ever come up for you to fight him?
Well, David Tua was in the same promotion group that I was in, and me and David sparred, and David know that I was the better fighter. I'm telling you, a lot of time you spar with these people, and they come to the understanding that, but David and I, we were with the same promotion company, Main Event, and so but I'm not. He's a good fighter. He's a good fighter now, but at his time, our champion and all that. So I sparred with David and somebody else. So when you have these guys that coming up, and when you the leader, you spar them and plus other people better than them. And so that's the way it was when David was coming up when he first started. He was just coming out of amateur. I sparred with him and two other guys. So meaning that he put his 3 rounds in, somebody else put their 3 rounds in, somebody else put their 3 rounds in. And you're like, that's how you kind of you ain't putting too much on him. You got quick hand and good left hook and stuff like this, because I did use him in the process when I was getting ready to fight Mike Tyson.
Okay.
So he was a good fighter.
So what's the first thing you did after winning your first world title in the cruiserweight division? And then what did you do after winning your first heavyweight world title?
Well, when I became a cruiserweight champion, cause it was in Atlanta, and it was kind of, I lost 15 pounds in fight. That was the toughest fight among all the fights I ever fought. The toughest one. I lose 15 pounds, and I'm catching cramps in my face and arm and all this. I lost 15 pounds, but you know, we had a parade. We had a parade, you know, after the fight. We had a parade and to 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 come to Atlanta and plus, you know, even when I was a kid, I was talking about boxing in school, and I was telling them, I was telling everybody in school, I said, look, I'm gonna be the heavyweight champion of the world. Why you ain't gonna be nothing? You always talk about you gonna be something. And 10 years, I graduated in 1980. And 1990, I become the heavyweight champion of the world. And so I'm Georgia's first world champion. Now, at this time, you know, the Braves ain't yet did nothing. Ain't nobody yet did anything. I'm the first world champion. So in 1990, they had a parade downtown for me, like this, and it was just like, you know, it was like almost like a dream come true. You know, I'm sitting here, and everybody come to the thing just to see me ride around in this car downtown, and it was great. It was great.
So now they did all that when you became the heavyweight champion, but did anything happen when you first won the cruiserweight world title?
Well, you know, when they looked at cruiserweight, they looked at it like it was a division that nobody never did that because they just came up with it. In other words, they said, you're too big to be a light heavy, and you ain't big enough to be a heavyweight. So I'm the first undisputed cruiserweight champion. I won all the titles and all that, you know, and so I'm the first fighter that ever been cruiserweight and heavyweight. So, you know, now they got somebody else who just did the same thing that I did, but I'm the first one that ever did it.
Okay. All right, question 15. Do you have any hobbies outside of the sport of boxing?
Well, football was my thing. Football was my thing, and you know, when I was a kid, you know, I was a good football player. I played linebacker and I played running back, and and so at the boys club, once I got to high school, the coaches didn't give me an opportunity. And so my mama wouldn't let me quit. She said, you start the season, you got to finish the season. And she said, and like that. And so, so they finally let me go in the championship game, and they seen how good I played defense. And so I remember my coach, he said, are you coming back next year? I said, no, sir. He said, why? I said, my mom said I don't have to. Because my mama told me, once you start, you got to finish like this. And she said, don't be bragging about nothing. Understand the coaches determine who goes in the game. And he said, in boxing, you determine what you want to do. So you want to bet on the coaches or you want to bet on yourself? So I chose boxing.
Okay, so football is your hobby outside though? You watch a lot of football?
Oh, I love football.
Now, is your son still in the NFL?
Yeah, he played for the Bengals.
Okay. So question 16, who is someone in your life that has inspired you outside of boxing? Now, I think I already know the answer to that, but.
Well, it's my mom, man. It's just like, I'm telling you, when people will always ask me this, and I said, look, I said, my mama wanted me to be better than I said, do you know how important it is for a person actually really want you to be better than them? I said, no, I said, they telling you something all the time. Look, don't do that. I did that. And it didn't get me nowhere. And it's not going to, it ain't changing. Do the right thing. And so my mother always tell me to do the right thing. And, and I've seen my mama cry because some of my other brothers and sisters didn't do what she had told them. The same thing that she told me, she told them. but they didn't do it. And when I did it, it worked. And so the whole big thing is, is to these things that she's telling you is how it gonna change your life when you get older. To your joy and your happiness, your peace with people, and how you conduct yourself, and everything that happened. Just like my mama said, what happened happened. I always had a peaceful life because I'm not getting jealous or getting envy or getting caught up in other people' bad behavior.
Okay. Question 17. Now, I know you've accomplished like beyond most people can even think of, accomplishing, but I want to know, what is your biggest accomplishment in your life?
Well, I think being a Christian, because that's ultimately everything is that. Because people like, you got to be mean and all this. No, it's not mean. Ain't got nothing to do with being a great fighter. The thing is not quitting and believing. My whole thing is that, if I didn't believe what your coach said, then that means I ain't gonna do nothing to tell me to do. Like this, so it's about believing. To be a good fighter, you know what you have to believe. Because you going in new boundaries, things that you never did. You got to believe. So ultimately, it's me believing and making an adjustment. Because making an adjustment is the key to life of being successful. When you can't make no adjustment, then all of a sudden you're gonna quit. But because I was so willing to, I'm not perfect, so that means here's another adjustment. Turn this way. Don't get tired of making adjustments. So my relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ allowed me to make the adjustment that was necessary to be the best.
Okay, so now question 18. Do you follow the heavyweight division right now? Do you watch it a lot?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so question 18, what current heavyweight boxer right now, if you could be their trainer and give them your knowledge and help them, what heavyweight out there right now do you think that you could help?
Well, I think what the guy from Alabama?
Deontay Wilder.
Deontay, yeah, Deontay. Because Deontay, he's not a very skillful fighter. Now he can hit hard, but think about it. If he used his jab more, he would be a great fighter. Now I knew that this is how my coach told me. Don't you even think about that right hand, till you get that left hand together, because this is how you're gonna measure the guy, know when to hit and when not to hit him, when to step up, when to pull back, and all that. It's just technical stuff but when you're a kid now, after they were teaching me this when I, at 8 or 9 years old. Like, so he ain't started boxing too late. And so he always have a good 1-2, but he don't have defense. That means that if you don't have defense at any given time, it can be over for you. I said, which is kind of hard when you ain't got it. Defense. I learned defense first, cause my coach told me, he said, you know what your mama said. If you come home with a bruise, you can't come back. so we're gonna go defense first. So when you get the confidence in defense, that means that you can't get hurt. You don't got to a point where you can move and you're not gonna get hurt. You may not win that fight, but you ain't gonna get hurt because he can't hurt you because your defense is so good. And so, but then you understand the only way you're gonna win because you got to hit him more times than he hits you. So I had fast hands, and but I learned to work everything off my jab. And so, and that's one of the most technical difference in a lot of fighters. They think they want to hit that big hand first. But my coach said, no, you want to hit that little one. Because if you can touch him with that left, you can bust him with the right. But if you can't touch him with the left, if you mess with the right, he gonna counter you, and that gonna probably be over. And so, I learned them things because I had a good coach named Carter Morgan, who just really gave me these great basic things to learn how to fight the amateur fight. And any guy who fight good amateur fight, I thought you're really gonna beat the pros, because the pros don't fight as fast, they don't fight as hard. I'm telling you, but amateur fight is technical, and you're gonna win. You're gonna win a lot of fighters. You learn how to do the amateur first.
Okay. Question 19. If you could have a conversation with any animal and it could talk back to you, what animal would you want to have a conversation with?
With the tiger. The tiger. I'm like, because when you look at things, you start thinking about how are you. I'm saying, and the reason why I was good in boxing, because you know what, I can make adjustments. The tiger always can make adjustment. If he missed you the first time, he ain't gonna just say, "Oh, I ain't getting back up." He'll roll on over and he'll find another position to get you. So the whole thing is making an adjustment. Making an adjustment and being quick and then having a name. Ain't nothing like just cause he's a tiger or the lion. I'm telling you, when they hear the name of tiger and a lion, hey, they already say, "Well, wait a minute." They already know they in some kind of trouble. Who they fighting anyway?
All right, last question. Question 20. Because I know you follow boxing, so I want your honest opinion on this. We know you're one of the best out there, and this is going to be a huge fight, and we haven't had a fight like this since probably, well, at least in this division, since like Hearns and Hagler and Leonard and them guys. So Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr., July 29th. Give me a breakdown and give me a prediction what happens.
Well, both of the guys I'm like, it's something that in a situation like this, it's almost a coin toss. You can toss a coin up and say, you know what, hey, the guy may hit him too much. Because both the guys got good chins. They got good chin. Both of the guys are very skillful in all this. But, but only thing I think that Terrence Crawford may have the advantage by him being a left-hander, and most left-handers fight right-handers all the time. But I'm talking about most right-handers don't fight left-handers all the time. So you may have, if that's in the advantage point, I think it comes in that way.
So who do you think is going to win then?
Well, I think Terrence.
Okay. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on the show and giving us all this great wisdom and knowledge, man. I totally enjoyed everything you had to say. And if you want to say anything to your fans or give a shout out to anybody, go ahead.
Well, I'm just thankful that you had me on the show. I appreciate it.
All right. And hold on. And the truth has spoken.